We don't talk about the news. I think it's interesting. Everybody gets tired of the AI stuff, but it's just like it's everywhere. You
There's a
can't avoid
John
it.
sighting.
You
What's
want
this
to avoid
AI?
it, but it's like it's hard. It's like, how do you avoid like the most popular topics, right? So oh look, John's here.
It's okay. The backlash is building.
It's too late.
It was
It's over.
it was
It's
funny
over.
over the weekend while I was working on my project for the workshop for the AI summit. I'm
Zoom
sitting
in
here
closer,
going,
John. Zoom in
just
closer. Case just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Sorry, Bronwyn.
no, all good. So, I'm working with Claude Cowork and I'm going back and forth and I, type a request and then I sit and it thinks thinks happy thoughts to itself. And I'm sitting here going, this behavior feels really familiar. Why does this feel so familiar? And I realized it's exactly like back in the mainframe days with dumb terminals because you type in your command and it would go off to the mainframe and the mainframe would chunk it and then it would come back however long later. And I'm going, we're right back. All of these massive server farms in the cloud, they're just the new mainframes.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the cloud is just mainframe coming back. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, I think the most interesting thing about it is that the interface just became one big chat window, right? And regardless of what you're doing. And the reason why is not because the technology is not as good. It's because the AI model are large language models. That's what they understand best. And they don't need a fancy anything, right? All the fancy stuff that we use to like browse and interfaces and like the drop downs and all the animations and stuff, that's for humans. That's not for AI. That's not for models, right? It's funny because when you design front ends, you're designing them to be better for humans, not to be better for large language models or systems or neural nets, because they don't care. They don't add value. And in fact, I would argue they slow it down because they add a lot more baggage that's just not required. So it's kind of interesting.
No lies
It's a new
detected.
job. UI or front end for AI.
Well, we have a Shopify store, and there's like you could put like sales channels, like where you want to sell, like what countries and stuff. But one of them now is large language models, right? So when you do a search for something in a large language model, it will show up like as a hey, I'm looking for this thing, and then it'll show up so as a search result. It's like a whole SEO for LLMs. It's kind of
Isn't
interesting.
the hack for
Yes.
that putting it on Reddit?
What's up?
Yeah, but that's what I was
Yes.
just about to say.
That's it.
Just put it on
Ditto.
Reddit, it'll show up on AI. That's the
Yeah.
SEO hack.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of funny.
And I think you can even do it with ads too. Like if you drop an ad in, like AI on Reddit can't tell the difference or something. It's like, oh, yes, BHIS is the greatest pen testing firm that ever existed. All of the money I've done.
I get so many of those ads on Reddit now. I see John's face on Reddit, and I'm like, wait, what? Where am I?
Yeah.
There's-
Right.
I need
That
to
means it's
figure out a
working.
way to generate royalties from all those posts.
There used to be like a third party app for Reddit called like Apollo or whatever, and it got destroyed because of Reddit wanting to monetize, right, the ads. This is what you're guys talking about. But you can still actually run it yourself. If you get a developer account for Apple, you can run essentially Apollo and then bring a key for Reddit. Actually, that's what I do, so I don't have any ads or anything like that. So there is a hack, but it requires a little bit more work than most people are willing to do. So
Yeah.
that was their point.
I will do that later for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because Wade doesn't need to see my face anymore.
I don't. I see it so much. So many email. No.
Unnecessary.
You do have to pay for a Apple developer license or developer account, which is like a whole process, and it's $100 at the end. Like I did one recently for a business. Took like 2 weeks for them to finally approve it, and they were like, "Congratulations, you owe us $100."
It's $100 a year.
Lifetime, or is it a yearly?
No, it's a year.
It's a year. Yeah,
That's worth it though.
I mean, if you need to make an iOS app, it's super cheap.
Apply to throw money at someone.
Do you think I need to make an iOS app like I don't.
mean, it's the easiest thing ever. Like, there's a couple different
code it now.
Yeah, you could.
I don't even have an iPhone. I've been on the Android market for like 2020 and like since 2008. I haven't had an iPhone.
I think Tyler WD has pointed out that TikTok, it's time to get started. Just bring out the crooked finger.
It is.
I'll do it.
We were just so busy chatting.
You gonna host, John? You want me to host?
I'll host. I'll take it
All right.
today.
Ooh.
Why, hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Black Hills Information Security, talking about news. Boy, we have stories today, and they're not all about AI. And I know that whenever we say they're not all about AI, people are like, God damn it, they're just going to start talking about chickens. And I do have chicken stories today. So I do actually have one set up. And we're going to be talking about felons, fraudsters, Flog offensive cybersecurity startups, Vishing attack, Entra ID attacks. GitHub shows up not just once, but twice today in the news. And more importantly, I think it's a round of applause. I personally would like to welcome OnlyFans for officially making it into BHIS news stories today. I want to jump straight into this Krebs on security article. The felons, fraudsters, Flog offensive cybersecurity startup. This is kind of crazy. I'll kind of set it up a little bit, and then I want to get people's take on this. But a cybersecurity startup dangling millions of dollars to acquire zero-day security vulnerabilities and popular software is run by a pair of far-right conspiracy theorists, convicted felons whose most recent ventures include fake intelligence companies and now defunct AI-based lobbying firms and platforms that they operated under assumed names. Which, by the way, whenever you start a company under an assumed name, that just shows that you're really, really proud of what that product is going to do. I wanted to get your take on this because I've been in the DC machine and I've been part of these groups and like the legit groups that buy these things, and these guys come up like people like this come up all the time. But I'd like to get anyone's take on this before I go all like monologue soapbox on it.
I don't think it's ever been a better time to be a fraudster right now in DC.
Oh no, it's always a good time. Always a good time to be a fraudster in DC. So
Whenever I think about this, I just think about all the time like open source tools are just used in like enterprise level tooling in the back end with just a better UI.
I think it happens all the time, Wade.
That's what I think every time.
Yeah. A friend of mine and I, we actually have like started other companies and things like that do similar things where even legit companies will charge like millions of dollars for some type of cyber offensive capability. And it's like, well, here's a couple of Python scripts that do it for free. And that happens a lot. But I will tell you, their UIs are usually much better. Very good UIs. But these types of groups are kind of crazy. And it actually resonates with a lot of people in DC. Like if you're in certain circles, and I'll give you an example, phone exploitation. And that's something that they talked about in this particular article. If you go to a number of different groups, whether it's DoD or intelligence community, they love vulnerabilities for like iPhones and Android devices. They pay a lot of money for those particular vulnerabilities. And in the past, when I've done some cyber offensive operations, you don't need to have an exploit for someone's phone whenever their password for their iPhone or their iCloud account is like password 1234, right? There's other ways that you can get to the same level of access that doesn't require a 0-day. But if you're talking to people in uniform, you're talking to people in certain government circles, they eat 0 days alive. Like they will drop serious amounts of money just to acquire a 0-day. And many times they don't even work on modern equipment, but it is a huge market and charlatans are just flooding that space. And they just take advantage of this quite regularly as well. So this is your tax dollars at work. I don't know if anyone had any questions or any further comments on that. I can go deeper if you want me to.
I think it's the same. It's the same kind of a scam that they were running before with all the other stuff. It's just different product market segment, right? So now it's cybersecurity, same thing, right? Just trying to scam over. other people, the government, whoever is willing to pay. And if it's really exciting, as you mentioned, John, where they're just all willing to throw money at it, then let's get in there and get it in front of their face. We'll get somebody to hook, right?
And usually the way that this grift works. So if you're in Washington D.C., you need to pay attention right now, especially if you have discretionary budget for these things. So the way the grift works is this: they will acquire a 0-day for, let's say, a Samsung Android device, and you can acquire those from a number of different places. You can buy them, right? Or the other thing that I've seen in the past is they will get a 0-day that's right off the press, and they will use that as a proof of concept. And they'll get in like a meeting, a lunch, they'll get into a SCIF, a secure facility, and they will demonstrate that capability. Sometimes it'll be public, sometimes it'll be something that they acquired, maybe for $100,000 or so. That's not the point of those meetings. The point of those meetings is to say, these are our capabilities. We need IRAD dollars, research and development project dollars, so we can continue doing this. And that's where you spend like $1 million on an exploit. Let's just say that somebody had that type of cash to invest in this. And then you can get $100 million in IRAD funds because you've proven capabilities. Yeah. That's where the follow-on, and that's where the grift makes a tremendous.
The most interesting part about that too, John, is that development is just for like the research, right? Like
just the research.
Yep. Even if you don't actually deliver on it, right? Which is the whole kind of the game here, right? Just to get close to it or whatever. She's like, oh, the research failed, but it was $100 million in research that, kind of, went away.
Yep. So they use this literally, like one of the guys, Iris C2 said, POV, you stopped screwing around with bug bounty programs and you make a lucrative living selling to Western exploit brokers instead. And, it's got a Dallas cheerleader doing her thing, whatever. And like literally as soon as they get anything that they have acquired, they will immediately try to spin that into research dollars. And the other thing that's really, really, really lucrative in how this works, and it works so incredibly well, is a lot of these projects, once they start getting the money and they start getting the funding for it, then they basically keep pushing it out further and further and further. And because DoD and IC has so much churn in different projects, by the time you get to the end of that project and there would be any evaluation as to the success or failure of that project, the people that you signed the contract with are gone to someplace else, and no one holds you accountable at all. So yeah, these guys are the worst of the worst, and they kind of cover themselves as though they are patriots. And I like the brag. Worrell, whatever the guy's name is, because he called himself the Worrell of Wall Street.
Wall of Wall Street.
Wall of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I know more about tech than anyone. My background has always been extremely technical. I've always been deeply in tech. People know me as someone who's able to create spectacularly exquisite capabilities that would make your head spin.
Whenever you read something like that, run.
What is it about the hyperbole that people just fall for it? It's like, really?
But there's people that gravitate towards that, Bronwyn, like that false bravado. And, we've been around those people and we try to get them, so they're not here in this.
That's
company.
my mom.
I don't know your mom.
There are reasons why I'm so good at spotting it.
I just want to insert a Bronwyn mom joke right now, but I'm not going to, Bronwyn. I'm not. But like that false bravado, especially like, okay, so special forces groups, especially, right? A lot of the people that are associated with special forces groups, not all of them, usually younger people that haven't been around very long, they fall for that bravado, because when you're working with those types of groups, if you come in and there's any doubt, like they take that in their circle that you're incompetent, you don't believe in what you're doing. So any type of like, I don't know if this technology is going to work. Sometimes they're like, well, you're either going to do it or you're not. Or they try to quote Yoda, do or do not, there is no try, and they really gravitate to this if you come in with that level of bravado. Now, that's not everyone. I want to make it very, very clear, but they only need to find a handful of those people where they can kind of bro it up, and then they just kind of keep riding that as long as they can until they find someone else. So I had one like dinner that was spectacular. This group, not these guys, but a similar kind of charlatans group. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast at all, but I was brought in to evaluate as a trusted advocate a technology that they were proposing. And they were basically proposing complete and utter snake oil. By the way, it was a Thai restaurant. The Thai food was fantastic and the charlatans paid. So I looked at this as a total win in my book. But no, they were talking about like temporal distortions and IT technology and how this all worked. And they brought in some religious overtures into it as well. It was really creepy. It was super weird. And they were asking for $100 million for a research project. And so that's what you see here is not an isolated case. There's literally hundreds of firms that are doing this exact same thing.
So we need somebody who can come and help the government out. And as a matter of fact, we have that person. It is OnlyFans models.
It is OnlyFans models. I think that is the transition. Ralph, do you want to set this story up a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. So OnlyFans models are actually helping government websites that have been compromised, essentially, get shut down. So the crux of this is that these sites are posting OnlyFans model content that is, protected under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, right? And so they're going after these different websites to essentially protect their IP. I don't blame them, right? They're
no,
not
they absolutely have every right to. Absolutely.
Exactly, but as a consequence or a attribute of this is that it's actually helping to discover these
because a lot of these OnlyFans models, they take this shit really seriously, right?
No
like
shit.
if their content is being leaked, they're doing takedowns all the time to try to get these things taken down. And I don't know. I don't know what we can learn from this in the world of computer security.
Hey, when somebody posts my work unattributed, I'm going after them too. So why not?
Absolutely. So
we learned that takedown requests work. The DMCA works. You just have to file it
in certain situations.
I think the most interesting part of this is that when you get some of the bigger firms involved, even some of the bigger like Google and other things like that, and them having to respond to these, they tend to just get rid of it as fast as possible. They don't
just get it off their plate.
Yeah, get it off.
Fine,
yes, get
fine,
it off.
block it.
Yes, block it. Yeah, and it's like they default to the block it and then prove that we messed up, as opposed to no, give us tons of information so that we can protect the other side, right? So it kind of works out.
I do hundreds of these all the time, and I see most of the times they'll just block it. They're like, oh, DMCA request. They get scared. They just block the content, move on. They don't want to deal with all the legal ramifications.
Well, yeah, because it costs money, and and most of the time they're the third
time.
party. They're the third party in that, so they're not making any money.
And people abuse it all the time. People like me who want content taken down for whatever reason.
Yeah,
we'll just do it. You're like, good luck fighting it.
Interesting. But
I wonder how automated this is, because if you look at YouTube, I think a lot of the DMCA takedown requests are fairly automated on YouTube. Like you can put it in, you can bring down a YouTube channel with no evidence whatsoever. I mean, there's tons of people like Rick Beato is one of them that I follow in like music production, and his stuff is constantly getting threatened to get taken down all the time. Simply interviewing a musician, and the musician plays a guitar riff on his show gets him a takedown. So a lot of this is automated, and I wonder just how automated this is for the OnlyFans thing. Or is there somebody that literally their whole job is like going and like, yeah, that's the OnlyFans model, and if they work from home, they have to explain to their their significant other. It's like, this is your job. This is what you do.
Google now has an automated process where they kind of search through, like you say, this is my phone number, and if the page shows up that's phone number, it's automated completely. But if there's something else that's a description of something that's copyrighted or whatever, design or things that need more attention, that's not automated. I think those are the one-off cases, but the majority of these things are like pictures, phone numbers, home addresses. That's all automated. That's pretty quick.
Yep. Absolutely. Bron, you were saying something?
I was just going to say that all of the people reviewing these takedown requests and checking for appropriate content, they've all been fired, or the jobs have all been outsourced overseas.
Yeah.
Are they using this for phishing? Could I put like a gnarly like copyrighted music on like a login page, and then really like tout that to take down phishing websites?
You can rickroll people?
No,
Actually-
I'm trying to. How do I weaponize this for defense? Is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, so you'd have to have control over the content though, right? So I think that's like the crux of this like side, right? If you were trying to weaponize it for defense, because I was just thinking about that. I'm like, how would I put that video on there? Well, I don't have control over it, right? So usually when you're talking like the big stuff like the Googles or whatever, they're just going to take it down because they have control of the platform. But if you post it independently, right, some kind of other server or something like that, they're not gonna get involved, right? So
yeah, but the hosting provider may. I worked for a hosting provider and we got DMCA all the time and we didn't. do anything. But this was like over 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting enough.
Well, do we want to talk about Okta's article, the Vishing actors going after Entra passkey enrollment?
Yeah, sure.
I kind of dig this one. And the reason why I dig this one is a long time ago I got into a debate with Dave Attell, and we were talking about the efficacy of user awareness training. And I can't remember. God, I completely forgot the guy's name. He wrote the book Honeypots, and I should know it was Lance Spinster was part of the debate as well. And Dave's take at the time I disagreed with, and I still kind of disagree with it, is he talks about how user awareness training is just not effective. It's not an effective control because it can be bypassed. Like there's always failure points associated with user awareness. And my take on it was every single technical control that we have has a failure percentage, a probabilistic chance of being successful. So we can't look at anything associated with user awareness training or anything and say, well, it fails X percentage of the time, therefore it's worthless. And this one I can kind of see Dave's point. And Dave's point was when you're trying to do user awareness training, it's so hard. Like you can hit the center mass, but you're going to end up with these fringes. And what this attack is, right? So we have this, what was it? The code name Pink, what is it? OUNC066, has been basically creating this phishing framework, this Vishing framework, and basically taking advantage of people that are trying to do passkey enrollment. And as you know, we've been trying to move people in security away from passwords to passkeys. So they're being told that this is more secure. They create a page that matches the organization so it looks real. They call people up and then they walk them through, and in the back end, they gain access to everything. And the thing I want to like kind of go and Ralph, I don't know if there's more technical aspects that you want to get into about this because it is kind of cool, but when we're talking about user awareness training, especially when an attacker is willing to get on the phone and walk someone through something, I think our probability of success in defending against that just plummets through the floor. So I'd love to get you all's take on this.
Yeah, so this
Wade,
is just
you're on mute. Wade's all talking and he's on
Wait,
mute.
okay. Let me go as the defensive. I had to deal with this, and they didn't just call. They called and also started listing names of people that they worked with in IT, and it was very well done and convincing to the point. I'm like, okay, it was an English speaking threat actor, so I'm like, okay, this is a little bit more deeper. And then the other thing is, as a company I work for, we use passkeys quite a lot. I can't really build a detection for this because there's going to be such a number of false positives, at least from the input of the key part, right? I have to then look for external logins from weird locations. But it was a cool problem right off the bat that maybe we solved.
I think that's the trick right there, is looking at logins from various exotic locations or impossible travel or simultaneous login from two places that are impossible. But I don't know anything other than that. Like
the other thing too, you could probably so this would be a password manager feature. Is it detects that the passkey is from a different domain, right? So when you actually make a passkey, you have to put the essentially like the originator of the domain, right? It's actually like hard coded inside of it, essentially, right? So the domain that you're using to log in is part of the passkey, so they're kind of like bundled together. So when that happens, this adversary in the middle, they're actually making that their domain as opposed to the actual legitimate domain, which would be Microsoft or whatever it is, right? So having that detection would actually possibly be a good way to pick
That's
up
how hardware keys work, though. That's
What's up,
exactly
Bruno?
how they work. Hardware keys. That's why
Yeah.
they're phishing resistant technically, because they look at the domain.
So from the Okta side, then though, if you were to go to take their passkey and put it into Okta, because I didn't let anyone actually do this to actually look at the logs, it will then say a different this passkey came from a different domain.
No. This is from the user side, not from the actual adversary.
Double back to user awareness training.
Yeah.
It's basically
So,
social engineering.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I've got a couple things to say about this, if you guys don't mind. One of them is that when we were talking earlier about, the research around 0 days, the first thing that I was thinking when that was kind of related to the topic we're talking about, I just stayed silent because I was like, I'm not going to send us off on a weird tangent here. But now we've come full circle.
Doc, that's your job, man. That's your job.
That's what I'm here for. But if I start talking and I get on a roll, nobody else is going to have a chance. So,
I'm your Huckleberry.
Let's do it. Let's
fight
do
you.
it. Do it.
Oh, come on. Fights over the mic or
But
nothing
first-
new here. Come on, Doc. Get over
First,
yourself.
when it comes to this research for 0 days, it's like the only 0 day in my mind that's even worth mentioning is one that's a 0-click 0 day, because I mean, you can either do that or send something to somebody and say, here, click this, open this, and it works. As John just said, it works all of the time, and so there's just no point to that of people are going to click. But then that's my first point. My second one is I've spent a lot of time thinking about social engineering when I'm writing articles, when I'm writing courses, things like that. By the way, everybody sign up for my workshop on access controls for Friday. Just had to
Get that
plug it
link
right
in
there.
Discord. Can someone
Had
drop
to
that in,
plug it.
please? That'd be awesome.
Because we talk about fun stuff related to that. We talk about passwords a lot, and I'm going to show everybody how passwords crack, and not talking about how to use the tool. I'm talking about how the bad guys get your passwords. Yes, there's password cracking involved. Yes, we're going to use the tools, and we're going to do that in the workshop, but we're going to talk about how they really do it. But anyway, just stop plugging that for now, Doc. To get back on track here, told you I got squirrels everywhere. So when it comes to social engineering and user awareness training, we're doing this poorly. We're doing a terrible job of it. And I think we're doing it the wrong way. We spend way too much time teaching people how to spot scams, how to spot things that aren't real, that aren't verifiable. And that's just the wrong way to look at the problem, because it becomes it's a default allow. Click unless you're suspicious. Well, we know that didn't work well with operating systems, default allow. And so what did Microsoft finally do one day is it's default deny. You are denied access until you are explicitly given that access. Let's look at how user behavior works. And instead of teaching people the wrong things to not click on, we need to teach them what they can trust, what they can verify, and that they don't click on anything, they don't open anything until it's been verified. Not looking for evil and then saying, oh, this doesn't look like evil, so it must be okay.
So here's my problem with that. And I agree with what you said. My issue is power and authority, right? If we're looking at a lot of these different types of attacks, someone calls up pretending to be a trusted person in IT, right? They take advantage of that and they start name dropping other people in IT, like Wade said. That's scary, right? But going further, we also have like business email compromise attacks that are very similar, where I'm John Strand, and I send an email to the finance department of Black Hills Information Security demanding we send $100,000 to Doc Blackburn immediately, right? And so Doc wins again. But the problem is, in a lot of organizations, that type of authority request is normal, right? And if you push back against IT, if you teach people to push back against these types of requests, you're innately going to hit a situation where they're going to push back against a real IT person. You're going to have them push back against a real executive. And everybody needs to be trained to take a step back, take a deep breath, and not take themselves so goddamn seriously. So if you're a tech person and somebody pushes back and says, look, I need to call the 1-800 number, I need to verify who you are, they need to be like, absolutely, we'll be here waiting. If someone pushes back against an executive for transferring this ungodly amount of money to Doc, they've got to be okay with that and saying, you know what, accounting person at BHIS, absolutely, you've got my number on file, call me and I'll be listening, or have some phrase or start a conversation that we would have to share knowledge. But the problem is, I feel not so much training people what's normal, but I think training everyone to be okay in, number one, pushing back against authority structures, and number two, when you're an authority structure, be okay when someone pushes back against you.
That's one of the biggest problems, and it butts up against one of the 14 absolute truths of cybersecurity, and that's, if security gets in the way of the business, security is wrong, because the business's mission is never wrong. And so, as I know, John's told stories about, I had to convince my own employees that I was me, that I wasn't AI. And John's like, I'm okay with that. There's not enough business owners that are John Strands out there.
On my side, I gave that employee a bonus for doing so well, and now I get nothing done from my tech team. Like, push back constantly, all the time.
John, put two fingers in front of your face right now.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right, just checking. So you didn't have to do, Vogue or anything.
There are times where I'm talking to somebody and I have to verify my identity, and I make a point of thanking the person on the other end of the phone for doing the verification, and time again, the relief and gratitude that they express for being appreciated and acknowledged for the fact that, one, they're just doing their job, and two, their actions help keep me safe.
Yeah, they're protecting you.
I love the, like,
exactly.
Now we got like warm fuzzies, Bronwyn. It's like, can you see this going to executives and be like, here's what we're going to do for user awareness training for executives. Don't be dicks. And the executives will be like, is there a product we could buy? Is there something we could put? We need. Is there someone we could throw? I hear that there's these guys in DC that have 0 days and they look smacks, and I think they inject gold in their veins. Maybe they have something.
You're being kind, John, because most of the execs I know are like, shut up and get it done.
Yeah, shut up and get it done. All right, we got to move on. I want to talk about this Noma.security article. This is, and I'm going to throw it over to Doc, because both Doc and I have taught the CISSP, and we have like Bell LaPadula and Bibo models and all that in our head. But this article it's AI, and I'm sorry, but I want to get Doc.
You broke the bubble.
I broke the bubble.
Now it's all AI articles from here.
Like, my inner Doc is like, this is nothing new, right? It's just, you've slapped a new coat of paint on it. It's nothing new, but it's prompt injection. But the way the attack works, and I know that somebody's digging for the article, it's the Noma.security article, and the name of it is GitLost.
I was literally going to talk about this.
So the way it works is the malicious actor goes to a public repository and they create a public issue, right? The GitHub agent reads the issue, right? And then they take the issue title and the body as input and context. And then it replies to the issue, or posts a public comment, and then it does so from a private repository, right? And you basically, then you're getting it to leak data. And the reason why I may have mispronounced it, is it Bell LaPadula or LaPadula? duck. I can't remember.
Padula.
La Padula.
I understood.
I got two different
I just went through CISSP training. It's La Padula.
La Padula, you got it.
All right.
And this fundamentally goes back to a security context model. The data in and itself is not dangerous. That means a low security context can write to a high security context. And then something can trigger, and then the high security context writes down. So if you're studying for your CISSP and you're wondering why YouTube recommended this video to you, congratulations. Now you know. But Ralph, do you want to talk a little bit about the technical aspects of this? Because I think this is kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I mean, so this is just like the high level. This is prompt injection, right? So as we continue to accelerate the AI deployments, and what I mean by that is just deploying AI to do all the remedial work, right? To do, the silly things like issues on GitHub or responding to customer emails is a great one. Anything where you can have a conversation back, and then the context is full of sensitive information, then you can start asking the AI. And as we all know, there's always a jailbreak. There's always a way to get your agent to respond with that information, even though it's been told not to. So yeah, you're going to continue to see this as companies strive to remove the cost to deliver that kind of service, whatever that is, right?
And I want to throw this at Wade real quick. Like DTEX, this is one of those things, like as we're getting more and more deep into these things, like the attack surface is no longer the endpoint, right? No. A lot of your detects come from endpoint logs. You have detects that are coming from cloud logs, but then you start getting into GitHub and like, what the hell? Like, how do you detect this? And I know that Noma would be like, we have a solution that here. I love how they're like, we attacked AI, we did prompt injection, and we were able to take advantage of AI. By the way, we sell an AI security agent. We tie AI into application security, governance, compliance, and MCP security. So it's like,
So they're saying, yes, we just jailbroke stuff, and oh, by the way, we sell stuff that you can jailbreak too.
I don't think they say it explicitly, but yeah.
Yeah.
But but this is the thing. Even the people who are developing AI and again, I'm talking LLMs primarily, they don't know how this stuff works under the covers.
They don't. Bronwyn, we've been on calls where we've talked to these people, and they're always like, "Well, ours is a proprietary algorithm," and we know exactly how ours works. It's not.
We are so much better than everyone else.
Okay, tell me why when I ask your model to pick a random number, it always picks 7.
Well, that's how I get my passwords.
I want to take what Bronwyn's saying and take it a step further. It's the problem is even worse than that they don't know how it works. The problem is with AI is that it will not work the same way every time.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's a probabilistic as opposed to deterministic, and that's
exactly. And so
that's baked into it.
But something that's deterministic, but you don't understand how it works, you can at least observe it from inputs, outputs. I send this input, I get the same output each time. With AI, you can ask it the same question, and then you get 3 different answers: red, green, blue, 7.
Depends on the model and its temperature.
Well,
that's why whether or not the answers are being cached.
But Bronwyn, that's how they. But doesn't that all comes into like how they tune specifically like back propagation and gradient descent and all of those things. So my point is,
exactly,
if you're talking to anybody that's selling shit like this and you start asking them ask them technical questions about how this stuff works and how they prevent it. If they do not give you good answers, that means they don't know what the hell it's doing.
Back away slowly, put your wallet away.
Going back to your question on like the recent detection shift, right? From endpoint to everything out, right? So this is getting gnarly because with SaaS, just like we'll say GitHub right off the bat. There is stuff with AI. Yeah, I can probably automate, but do I even want AI to do that with certain detections, right? Whether that be changing configurations or allowing things to be made public and that sort of thing. The other is the I would say non-clear logging standards within these SaaS products, right? Like you can go and set up whatever SEM you have to go pull GitHub audit logs and throw them in. The thing is, though, there are other ways to receive other logs because whatever hook that SEM tool is using isn't typically using all of the hooks to get all of the logs. So then you have to go verify the logs they're actually correct, right? And that's just GitHub alone. And then you're going to have to think about all the runners, how those runners are set up, what AWS environment those runners are on, right? And so bam, your detection strategy has just exploded exponentially. And then setting up other third-party applications. The biggest thing that I have been like trying to focus on is like least privilege, right? That's one of the most important things. And then looking for those least privilege outliners, just so like you're not going to be able to protect all this AI stuff with, especially like Bronwyn said, there's another interesting part. Digesting those AI chat logs and then looking for maliciousness via the questions asked is a whole nother detection strategy that's kind of a black box right now.
Okay.
That the only great way to solve is with AI, which is also scary.
So here's my recommendation for people. And I've seen some vendors that kind of work this way. But if you're looking at like OpenAI, you're looking at Anthropic, you can actually look at the logs, right? It depends on your plan. Like we ran into this problem, Ron, when you were right in the middle of it, whenever we're working with Anthropic. And you have to have a certain enterprise plan to be able to get the logs and the chats and the requests and the responses and the agent traces associated with it, right? So I know this sounds weird, but if you can get those logs of what was actually put in as a request to the AI models and what are the responses that came back, you can actually feed that back through AI and make a request to say, do any of these particular requests look like prompt injection style attacks, right? But many people aren't. Wait, do you know of anybody that's actually checking their AI chat logs?
I have talked to a lot of people about this. One, it's a lot of logs. Two, they're highly sensitive. Right? Because there's acquisitions, there's managers being said. All logs are, but I think this is a little bit more of like people are like draining their soul into these AIs, and there's some legal ramifications from it, right?
Back up. I think that's
all the health conditions. We get right into HIPAA.
But wait, let's differentiate, right? Like we're talking about corporate level AI, right? Because that's for most of our listeners, right? If somebody is going into their local chatbot in like Copilot and they're like, I need dating advice if I have like
they probably are.
Okay,
John.
They are. I will tell you, they are. I've already had to deal with stuff like that. But I'm not even saying that. I'm talking about like mergers and acquisitions, right? I'm talking about promotions or user reviews, right? That was one of the first things when we started like thinking about digesting these logs. It's like, okay, who would have you limit access to logs always, right?
Yeah.
But what if one of these like security people has access to these logs? What can they see? What are some of the weird questions that maybe C-suite or board levels, right?
Browser history.
Yeah, well, the browser
moving the risk anywhere.
It's definitely. Honestly, I've said the same thing, but privacy says otherwise, right?
Why is it?
It's been one of those things that we had to fight, and we finally got it right. And I keep waiting, Bronwyn, for like one of the inputs into Anthropic to be like, please take the following and convert it into a report quality finding for Black Hills Information Security, but obfuscate it well enough that Bronwyn and BB will not notice that AI is used to generate this, right?
I've talked to Hayden a lot about this and the strategies around it and maybe like how some corporations are dealing with it. And it's definitely there's nothing cookie cutter about it. Like everyone's doing it differently. And even then, like some of these logs, I think like OpenAI has around 5 different APIs, something around there that you have to hit to make sure you're consuming all logs, right? And I believe the chat one, like actual raw chats, is the largest. Like it was pretty big. Some of the tools we were using to pull logs in couldn't handle the stream, so we had to make something.
I was going to say, how much hardware do you need in this economy, dude?
But there are some cool things that you can do, right? Like you can pull those logs in and you can have it do analysis and say how many of these like agent requests could be streamlined and like improved for performance, right?
I will tell you also, like, just like we're talking about OpenAI and like the frontier models, if you take one step further and look at these other AI toolings that have very similar stuff, it is definitely I would say most of them do not have good logging on what their AIs are doing, right? And you have to fight tooth and nail for that information. There's one company I saw where I got sent like, hey, go review these logs to make sure that this tool is cool. Out of like probably like this 10 or 20 I've looked at, one was like great and was actually OCSF. Everything else was garbage. We had to put in limits like, hey, if you're going to use this, we need X, Y, and Z within these logs, or we're not going to accept this tool. Like you're connecting all these APIs to it, right? It's going to have the keys of the kingdom per se, at least as a read only.
It goes back to like logging is horrific for any like cloud or frontier technology, right? It's just bad. And I don't understand why like logging has been so horrifically bad all the way to like Windows Event Lock, right?
So
yeah.
I have recently, I think this is okay. I've recently like customer zero, like dog fooding stuff within my org and having to create new logs. And it is not as easy as I thought it was to be like, hey, this is the format we want.
Yeah.
And this is the data we want. They're like, well, yeah, but what about X, Y, and Z? And what if the log comes in late? What if that? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I don't know. That's developer stuff. You guys figure, but this is what I
and
want.
the developers focus the logs on the stuff that matters to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's get away from GitHub. That's a fun story. Let's go. Let's do another story.
Okay.
From security.
I did have.
Go ahead.
I had two quick things. I mean, one, props to Noma for doing the research and for pounding on GitHub because it really needs to be as secure as it can possibly be. But two, I feel so much like this little old lady because so much of the churn that we're seeing now with regards to AI and that things are evolving so fast and they're changing so fast. This is exactly what we went through when the web was new.
Yeah.
This is so familiar.
This is what happened with cloud. This is what happened with virtualization. Yeah. So
it's going to be several years before things settle out and we get real, genuine productivity boosts.
And I really think anybody that's in security that bitches about this, legitimately, like we all bitch, right? Like we all complain because that's what we do. But if you genuinely are laying in bed at night, worrying and complaining about this, you need to stop because this is job security for us. Like
It's job security.
it's going to be just fine. You're going to continue to have a paycheck. Life is good in security. AI is not going to replace your job in the long term, maybe short term, but that's going to be a dumb mistake. But we have to get away from the GitHub thing and let's talk about another article from Security Week, a network of 200 GitHub repositories used for malware. God damn it. Right back to GitHub.
Again?
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything like groundbreaking about this.
Malware on GitHub. Shocker.
So, but I do have one quote. It said to deceive the users. The Go module posed as a DNS subdomain scanning tool built around a legitimate DNS sub open source project. Since January 24th of 2026, the threat actor has published over 1,200 versions of the package, 700 of which are malicious. What are these other packages? Like, what are the other like 500?
500, right? That is a good idea.
Well,
sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that what they probably did was they took the original and they added the malware and now they're publishing slight variations on a theme.
And some of them are
the same way. Yeah. Well, as long as a payload delivers, they don't care about anything else.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, it's not malicious,
but
right?
it's a numbers game. And of course, with AI, they can have an agent crank out all of those and push them over and over again.
Yeah.
So
I think we're focusing on the wrong headline here. I think the headline here is they have a scanning tool that only found 700 of the 1,200 being malicious.
There
doesn't mean the other 500
There you go.
That's the headline.
Here it is.
The other 500 are just really good.
Oh man, I lost the story. Microsoft and the GDID, GG.
Yeah, can we talk about that one real quick? Actually, so
we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But
We did.
It's still floating. But go ahead. Ralph.
Okay, so all right, a couple interesting things. So obviously, a bunch more news articles came out, and I did a deep dive on kind of how this actual worked out, like how the FBI actually found out, how this, just like one GUID. I kept thinking about it. I was like,
no, I don't want to call it GUID anymore, Ralph. I'm trying this point on to start calling it the GIGID.
The giggity, got it. Whatever you want to call it. And actually, it's technically not a GUID, but
are we getting giggity with it?
Yeah.
There we go. Bronwyn's down with it.
So what I thought was interesting is that Microsoft has this unique identifier that you get whenever you activate your Windows, right?
Yep.
And it gets sent off to Windows. And it's just to Microsoft, by the way. This doesn't really get sent to other websites that you go and visit or anything like that. So the way that this all worked out is that this GUID or GIGID, whatever, gets sent out. No, I know.
It's a GIGID.
I like mine. It gets sent out. Microsoft has a copy of it. All right, great. But how does that find out who this person is, right? And the way that they actually did it is that at some point, this attacker logged into an ngrok signup page, and at that moment, Microsoft got an IP address and that ID at the same time.
Stop. Hold on. That's what I'm trying to figure out is how did they get the giggity?
So ngrok got an IP. Microsoft got the ID with the same IP at the same time. Now I have a connection between a device via the IP. It's the IP is the interesting piece, right? Because whenever it talks to Microsoft, it sends that ID and that IP address, and whatever the current IP address
but
is,
it's
right?
working exactly as it should. Like,
yes,
Microsoft's going to be tracking that information for
yes, exactly. So the FBI asked Microsoft about that IP address, and then when they associated it with the ID, then they were able to start tracking it down, and they asked Microsoft, hey, tell me all the IP addresses that ID ever used or ever was from. And then they go to all the providers that they thought he would have logged in, like take the big ones, Snapchat, for example, and they say, tell me when this IP address hit your device, and they connect the times together. Now I have a plan of where you were, no matter how many VPNs you used, based off of those things. So I have those IPs, those times, right?
So I still don't understand how that GUID went to ngrok. I don't.
It didn't. It didn't go to ngrok. It just has the same IP at the same time when he signed up. Right. So Microsoft knew the IP address.
Megan, scroll down to the diagram.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted you to go. Perfect.
Yes. So they cross-reference. The IP address is how they traced, but because they were able to get that one ID, and then Microsoft had a list of all the IP addresses. Now I have a single computer that I know is always the same.
I see.
And then I have all the IP addresses that I know that computer used, and I go to all the providers, and then I get a full trail of wherever you were.
So we get back. This is actually the same, like the Sarah Palin hacker years ago. He broke into Sarah Palin's Yahoo account. He took a screenshot, he sent it in, and he literally, in the screenshot that he posted, he had all of the tabs of all the other websites he was at the same time. And that's how they got him. Now, during his trial, he was like, do not call me a hacker. Turns out he wasn't, but he was.
He needs my OPSEC course.
He needs my OPSEC course. Yeah.
So I'll close
screenshot
it off.
that shit.
The most interesting piece is there's really no way to disable this inside of Microsoft. It's built in by default.
Okay, but that's the thing I want to get to is, like, privacy people are freaking out about this. I don't see how this is a privacy violation. Like I just don't.
If you don't log in with your MSA,
I mean,
that's a way to
Microsoft and Apple both are constantly calling back home. They have your IP address of your machine from the time the machine boots up. You know, the operating system is constantly calling home for licensing, for telemetry, for whatever. Isn't all of that the same as this?
Yeah.
So this is why privacy conscious people don't use this. They're
right for
Linux
Linux artifact
or on Linux or something else. There's ways to protect yourself from this, but I mean, if Microsoft wants, they know your IP address, and Apple.
Yeah. You could also just not log in with a Microsoft account, right? If you do a local account, that avoids it. Or
yeah,
just,
but makes that a lot harder. But
go back to Windows 98 time and just restart your or reinstall your computer every week, and you'll be good to go too.
This is part of activation, not part of your online Microsoft account. So as soon as you activate it, that's where this actually comes from. So yes, you could. I don't know. Maybe not activate your Windows. Maybe that doesn't work. I don't know.
While you're going,
there are other ways to get around this.
Yeah, but you can't not activate it anymore.
Your 90 days or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Very, very cool. Just the idea and the thought that, like, you can associate this little piece of information and assign that with an IP address, and then kind of, if you have access to all of this, which the FBI was able to subpoena, they can put together this full picture, and all they had to do was correlate one event that they knew this person had done, and then you can just expand, right?
Step up,
yeah, very cool.
All right, let's move into some privacy stuff to close it out. This is an article from reclaimthenet.org. EU Reddit users must verify age with government ID or selfie. This is something that we've been talking about for a while.
ID for everything.
It's ID for everything. And so this is tough for me because it is this collision between privacy and security, right? And I remember the story I always taught about was the San Bernardino shooters years and years and years ago, right? Up until that story happened, everyone was very frustrated and angry at Facebook because it was getting leaked that there was a lot of privacy issues with Facebook. This is right at the beginning when privacy problems started to percolate, and everyone's all mad. They're like, Facebook and privacy and blah, 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 and they're doing this and they're doing. San Bernardino shooters happen. And it comes out that they were communicating with each other on Facebook. And immediately the narrative changes. Like, immediately. People are like, why wasn't this stuff being monitored? And why weren't they watching for this? And I don't think that this is much of a technical problem. I think that we as a society have got to figure out which side of the fence we want to land on. Like, are we going to be about privacy or are we going to be about, oh my God, please protect the children? We have to figure this out. But I just don't know like where we go with this shit, because today everyone's going to be mad at Reddit for verifying age of people. And then in a month or 2 months, they're going to get mad because Reddit isn't monitoring accounts close enough. So where the hell are you guys on this one? Because we go back and forth on this all the time.
I feel it's an excuse. Like, if it's about the children, show me proof how many children are you protecting or have you protected because of age verification. And then I'll be all for it. But that's not the real reason for this. Children are not being protected because of this. There are predators and so many things outside there. I mean, that's not going to stop them from doing this. So this is mostly entirely for surveillance.
See, but I don't think that they look at it in that lens. I agree with you. I think they're doing this for other reasons. I agree. But at the same time, a lot of corporate entities, they don't think of it as like, how many children are we protecting? They're far more scared of that one child that gets abused, they get blamed for it and they get sued. They're trying to do harm reduction.
As if children can't scroll up and say, I'm 20 years old. A 10-year-old can't. Right? How is it really protecting them? Every children's lying. Every hacker's lying. Is like, bad guys will not follow this. Children will not follow this. It's like, then what is it for? That's what I question.
John, did you ever see a science fiction show called Continuum?
No, I haven't, but you've recommended that now twice to me.
Okay, so one of the reasons that I bring it up, Continuum is a science fiction series. It has good and bad points, but whatever. The future visualization that they have is that basically there is no privacy in this future world. Governments, nation states have fallen, and now we live in a corporate run planet. But there is no privacy at all. Everything is digitized. Everything is
what's the name
totally
of this documentary?
Visible. And the primary character in that series is a female police officer. Her suit is almost entirely AI, and she even has things embedded in her so that the facial scanning that we're freaking out about with the meta glasses, she does using implants in her physical body, and it's part of her job. And while the vision of this future where there is no privacy is in some ways very terrifying, I think that we're not going to be able to avoid it.
I agree. I think what's going to happen though is like the amount of data that's going to come in, even with AI, to like find you is going to be very hard at first. I am on the fence about this just because after reading a bunch of like books on children and social media, right, and just like it's going to take more than just age verification, right? It's going to take a bunch of stuff, but I think it's like where it starts.
I would say ask.
It's like Australia, right?
Children. Yeah.
Like Australia banning. Australia is banning social media for kids under 16.
So
right?
encryption
has to happen.
I think that sort of thing does need to happen, where it's like the bare minimum needs to be done somewhat.
I also think that all of the shit that all of the like Reddit, Facebook, and everybody is tracking should be protected as PHI, and it has to be protected under HIPAA. You want to make it real quick, one law, it's all HIPAA level data. Then they can't sell it, they can't market it, they can't try to productize it without very, very strenuous controls around that data. That solves the problem. very quickly.
But do me a
This
favor,
is
though.
where-
Don't put it under HIPAA. Whatever you do, don't put it under HIPAA.
Well, give me
Let's do
another one better,
something
Doc.
better.
Whatever it is, we need to figure out what
fun.
our philosophy is going to be about personal information, and we need to update it to accommodate all of the technological changes that occurred in the last century and that are continuing in this century, because our data has become such a valuable commodity, and our laws have not caught up with how to address that and how to deal with it responsibly. And it's going to be an interesting couple of decades, that's for sure.
Yep. So, all right. We got another privacy one to close out with. I think it's a lot of the same beat, same tune. Risky Business was talking about it, and it's news.risky.biz. All new cars to include camera aimed at the driver's face. All new cars manufactured and sold in the EU and the US will have to include mandatory infrared camera aimed at the driver's face at all times, which is alarming some privacy groups. My favorite quote, and I've got to try to hunt it down, but somebody at Risky Biz basically had pointed out that car makers have historically been some of the biggest offenders ever whenever it comes to consumer privacy over the past decade or so. I've rented a car that does the, "Are you sleepy? Do you need to take a break?"
I think that's what they're
Tesla does
selling
that
it as the
currently.
safety feature.
Teslas do that currently on FSD mode. If you're
Mhm.
driving on FSD and it notices you're drowsy or you look away for too long, there's a camera in the front watching you and it'll cancel the FSD. So if you're doing it responsibly for safety reasons only, with repercussions, which is if you abuse the data, if you sell it to someone or someone hacks into your database and sells that data, whatever, there should be repercussions for it. So it should go both ways, in my opinion.
Well,
We saw how
I'm trying
well-
to figure out where the controversy is here, because don't we already have cameras pointed at our face all the time while we're driving? Hello.
Oh my God.
Oh,
We want
Good
those.
point.
Yeah.
We need those.
Well, we got that. We got flock cameras. I mean, we didn't talk about that story where people are chopping down these cameras.
Oh yeah, they're going after the
That's something
And now
flock.
they're being called terrorists by
Oh,
the
yeah.
CEO or by
By the
one of the
CEO,
executives at Flock.
Yeah.
It's like,
Terroristic
Well,
activities is
not
what he said.
just Flock, but also other.
Yeah, they're
Other
think
vendors.
any camera that people see publicly now is just like it's open season.
the flock ones are wild. The whole
They're
thing.
AI-based.
And there's a database of them. People are cutting them down. The security of those things is like wazoo. Read in about the company itself, and it is.
You can find them on Shodan.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yes, you can. Yes. Oh my God. They have the security of honestly
on Windows XP or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw one post that was like, all of you that are constantly attacking flock cameras, you need to stop. We've got word today that if you use green lasers against the flock cameras, it absolutely destroys the ability for it to see anything. This madness needs to end. You should never use these green lasers that you can get at Amazon for $50, and you can hit a flock camera from hundreds of feet away. No one would
Bring
ever
that
be able to track who you are and where you did it. This needs to stop because it's
It needs to
costing
stop.
us. It needs to stop now.
Whatever you do not follow these explicit
Do not
instructions.
follow these explicit directions. How
have
to
like
push the button.
Grams of gold in them
This
or
is
whatever.
why.
and copper.
This is why it's so easy to jailbreak LLMs, because they're doing exactly the same things that humans would do.
That's the thing. All right, we got to wrap it up. Michelle, Jake, do you guys have anything you would like to promote on your side of the world?
Yeah, take my OSINT course. We talked about privacy, a lot of it. I said the best way to learn privacy is through OSINT. Once you know a lot about yourself and others and how to search people through, creative means, as I call it, it's just not Googling. That's when you know the dangers of data and privacy.
And it also will really open your eyes. I went through it. I was watching some of the recorded stuff with this, and it really opens your eyes to just how screwed we are, how much data is out there. So, Jake, you have anything you want to promote?
Working on Locksmith 2, Locksmith number 1. I released in 2022 at Wild West Hackett Fest. rock and roll. And
Thank you.
Locksmith 2 will be demoing it at Deadwood again because I got accepted last week. So
Woo-hoo, congratulations.
as part of that, I will also be doing a 4-hour anti-siphon in Q4. And
Nice.
then, yeah, same thing. So
Very good. And Doc
So
already
happy to be
mentioned
here,
his
by the way.
workshop. Can we get a link up, Doc? I think that some people put it out on Discord, but you have a workshop coming up this week as well. There it is.
It's a 4-hour party. It's going to be a blast. The foundations of access control is where everything sits, and there's going to be so much fun. And this workshop is for 2 people. Everybody.
I like it. And it doesn't have AI in it. It has IA.
It is yeah.
So, we can
Yeah,
also
so-
say it's big Endian. AI is in there as well. So
AI it's in there, but it's not in this workshop. It's your respite from AI.
there we
You
go.
actually get to talk about the shit that matters.
Oh,
And so, folks, it's going to be
burn.
fun. It
Shots
really
fired.
is. That those 2 groups of everyone is, we all know people who they ask you, your friends, family, but how do I get into security? And these trainings are multi-days, and they're a lot of money. Folks, you can afford $25 and 4 hours of your time, right? And if you can't, then you've probably got bigger problems, and thinking about your career change isn't right for you right now.
Yeah.
And so tell your friends and family, those people that want to get into security and they say, I just don't know how. Boom, here it is. And so
Yeah,
that's
which-
one group. The other group is all of us professionals. So we need CPEs all of the time, right?
CTEs.
4 hours of CPEs. And not only are you going to get the CPEs, but you're going to learn something from it. Absolutely
That's what
guaranteed.
we look for.
You're going to walk away with knowledge in your head that you did not have before. Some of it you might want to forget, but it'll be there, comforting
All right.
you and terrorizing you.
And with that, we're out of here. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you so much for everyone for joining. It was a great show. And I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. That's it. It's a Monday. I'm out of here. Talk to you all later. Thanks so much.
yeah,
See you.
Later.
thanks, John.
Michelle,
Bye.
hold on. Darn. You're still there.
I'm still
So, Michelle, how do you pronounce your first name?
Michelle.
Michelle or Michelle?
Michelle.
Michelle. Okay. Yay! I got it right. So I do work with the Women's Society of Cyberjutsu, and I saw an article earlier this year talking about an OSINT rave as a way to teach OSINT to people. And I'm thinking about putting together a workshop for this group of women. And these are typically young women who are new to cybersecurity, and they're looking into it. So would it be okay if I reach out to you and bounce some ideas
Absolutely.
against you? And
Yeah, reach out anytime.
Sweet.
Reach out
All right.
on LinkedIn. We can share our Signal handles there or usernames, and we can talk.
Excellent. Sounds good. I'll reach out to you within the next couple of days.
All right. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Later, guys.
Bye, Ralph.
Bye, Ralph.